What is it about a certain location, aside from maybe the physical beauty of it? Do you almost feel that there's some sense of, I don't know, is there some other sense that you pick up from going to a certain location? Or it's just...
Well, I think it's a way of getting to know a place, and maybe because I grew up in the Midwest and kind of, circumscribed by the Mississippi and Missouri rivers in St. Louis, going to exotic places was something I kind of dreamed about but never really thought it could happen. And so maybe this is kind of an extension of childhood dreams. But the unintended consequence of shooting in these places that have locations that have really thrilled me is it's a way of getting to know the people, the culture, by being part of it. However, remote I am because I'm not from that region, there's something that I know, which is how to make a film. And there's something I don't know, which is how do they make films in that country or in that region. And for example, I worked with a Peruvian, Lucho Llosa, and made a film there called Max is Missing. And what I saw with his crew, who were not terribly experienced for the most part, is that they functioned like a family. Everybody supporting everybody else. Nobody saying that's your job if something had to be done. And there was a kind of respect they had for Lucho as the sort of father figure, which is, I think, maybe common, or maybe this is my conjecture, in Latin American countries. And the combination of the respect they had for Lucho, not that he was giving orders, but that they wanted to do well for him, and the way that they worked as if they were kind of brothers, sisters, cousins, to provide what needed to be provided for the film, was quite lovely.
Do you think that exists in American cinema? With American sets?
I think it can exist probably more likely with a director everyone is like desperately wanting to work with because they respect his or her work, or more likely in independent film where everybody's so excited to just get to the end of the day of shooting, and it's something that they hope will shoot them to the top in the industry, but even if not, it's something they really, really wanted to do. So in that sense, this kind of camaraderie I have seen happen in independent feature films.
What is it about a director that gives them sort of the personable feel of a father-like figure? Because, we've heard of great people, great artists, that there is sort of a wall that's put up, and maybe it's by necessity. I'm sure it's got to be difficult to always have people trying to access you all the time and need something from you. But then there's those that seem to know how to just make each person that they're speaking to feel special. Have you sort of seen some of the traits? Or?
Yes, I've seen all of the above. I've seen directors on my films who get the crew very committed to them. I've seen directors who are very precise in what they do, and it's comforting to me as a producer that the director has sketched all the shots, has laid it out so everybody knows what they're doing. I've seen, scared directors. So just, yeah. It's hard to say what would make this kind of camaraderie happen or not happen.
Sure. And when you do see this location that's just amazing and it just all sorts of ideas come to you, are there certain things that you say, you know what, this is a no-go, aside from maybe obvious sound issues? But are there certain things, like, do you have a checklist, like, okay, this is a very beautiful locale, I want to shoot here, but this is not going to work, or this looks right?
Well, expense, or weather, or, yeah, there are a lot of things to take into consideration as to whether it would be possible to shoot at the location or not, and whether it's worth it to take the gamble of whether you can pull it off, whether you'll actually get the government sign off, or whether you'll actually, be able to get the tourists to stand aside, or, whatever. Oh, in one case I remember there was a location where they said, Well, this is a nature preserve, and you're welcome to shoot here, except that we have a certain kind of a very rare crane that is nesting. And if, if the, you know, if there's no more need for the nest, in other words, if if the baby is born and the crane flies away from the nest, you can shoot there, and otherwise, no. So
did you have someone on the set designated as a nest checker, or how did you work?
no, I think it just worked out.
It did.
Yeah,
work out.
it did. Yeah.
Interesting.